Mr. President, I rise today to speak on the legislation to reauthorize the Federal Aviation Administration. Our national economy is recovering from the worst economic recession in decades. Critical to getting our economy moving forward and getting Americans back to work is building an efficient and modern intermodal transportation system, and this bill will help us deal with that. I am pleased to see that this legislation, which is estimated to create 280,000 jobs in airports around the country, is one of the first orders of business in the 112th Congress. It demonstrates that this body is focused on job creation as well as improving our infrastructure, particularly as it relates to our nation's aviation system, to ensure that America is ready for business. The airline industry accounts for nearly 11 million U.S. jobs, 1.2 trillion in annual economic activity. This bill provides the airline industry the essential infrastructure it needs to succeed and remain strong and competitive in the global airline industry. This bill sets a clear path towards addressing these challenges, not the least of which is working to reduce the number of flight cancellations and the frequency of flight delays that can range anywhere from 10 minutes to 9 or more hours that air travelers have to experience. This bill will reduce delays by more than 20%, save passenger time, money, and reduce airline fuel consumption, making our country more energy secure and reducing harmful greenhouse gas emissions. While air travel remains safe and fast way to travel between distant destinations, the technology is readily available to make essential improvements to our nation's aviation infrastructure to make it even safer and faster. The bill authorization of the facility and equipment funding reinforces the FAA's commitment to overhaul the guidance system used to direct flights across the country. The deployment of next-gen flight guidance system will cut travel time and save energy by directing flights to take shorter routes and use less fuel. Domestic commercial flight routes follow the same terrestrial-based guidance air traffic control system that was put in place more than a half a century ago. The paths planes follow between airports is not based on the shortest, most efficient routes, but instead based on the location of broadcasting points on the ground. Mr. President, that no longer makes any sense. It hasn't made sense for a while. We know that we now have a GPS system that could get our airplanes in a much more direct route, a faster route, saving time and saving energy. Just to give you one example, the flight from National Airport to Boston currently takes 537 miles, 1 hour and 15 minutes, and burns over 7,000 pounds of fuel. Using NextGen, that same flight will be 367 miles with a direct flight to Boston, taking less than an hour, burning less than 6,000 pounds of fuel. That's a savings of almost 1,500 pounds of fuel, saving expensive carbon-emitting intense jet fuel. These are significant savings that benefit the environment and the consumer. The Air Transport Association estimates that even a 6% fleet-wide reduction in fuel burn results in fuel savings of 1.16 billion gallons of jet fuel and emission savings of nearly 11 million metric tons, or 24 billion pounds of CO2. That's what we're talking about here, saving fuel, saving cost to our economy, and polluting much less. NextGen is essential to achieving these types of greenhouse gas emissions reductions from the aviation sector. NextGen is also critical to meeting future air travel demands and will go a long way to alleviating the actual air traffic that is responsible for much of the delays air passengers are experiencing while traveling. The Research, Engineering, and Development Fund is set to advance undergraduate and technical school programs for aircraft maintenance focusing on new technology, job training for pilots and air traffic controllers. This includes essential job training programs for next generation of air traffic controllers that will use next-gen systems to guide Air America's airline fleets. Mr. President, more jobs for the people of this country. Job training and education is an important part for America's workforce to advance into the well-paid and skilled jobs, and is essential for our nation's economic recovery. The Operation and Maintenance, Airport Improvement Program, and Facilities and Equipment Funding authorizations give the green light to hundreds of airports across the nation to advance pressing maintenance, facility, security, and new construction projects that will create thousands of jobs in the engineering, computer science, construction, and software development sectors, and much more.